And welcome back to the Backyard Quarterbacks, episode 10. We we're still getting those sponsorships and money, so we're able to keep going on. That is a joke, but if you want to sponsor us, just hit us up. Comment whatever you want to do. We got Tyler in the Florida. We got Adam in the Jaguar, and we got our second official guest, JP Phillips, another Terry Parker graduate, here with us. He is a Florida fan. Obviously, since you're watching, you probably already know that, since it's only our friends and family that have been watching. I think we did have a New York download. I think is that
New York? We had Wisconsin. We had Virgin Islands. So.
Yeah.
We're international, boy.
That's right.
Here we go. Well, thank you for joining us.
Big. By the way, who are you?
Brian Hartle. I'm a famous softball player here in Tallahassee, Florida. Did do my first year in Wooden Bat League in baseball, but you'll know me. You'll see me on billboards around your town soon. Yeah. So let's get into Florida, Missouri.
Before we do that, though, guys, don't forget, please like, subscribe, and comment on the video. We appreciate it, and it helps us out. Thank you.
I usually I X out the box when somebody says that. I'm not listening to these jerk-offs anymore,
Yeah.
Some people
like, subscribe, donate, Venmo, whatever you gotta do.
We'll put our Venmo in the description.
What's the thing everybody does? GoFundMe.
Patreon.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, that too.
Or just hit me straight up GoFundMe.
Yeah. Oh, ran out of data. I'm just kidding. All right, here we go. Sorry for that technical difficulties there. I'll start off with the Missouri Florida game. I'm going to throw it to Tyler.
Yeah, this was a rough one. I guess going into it, though, didn't really honestly, last week I even said, I don't really expect us to win. I can't believe that we keep getting favored. But what I was shocked was that special teams did their part except for one shanked punt. But the field goal kicker was doing his job. The defense was doing their job for most of the game. And it was the offense that we couldn't get going. So, I mean, you can't put all the aspects together in one game. You can get, only one side going. You can't get the other. So, another disappointing game. And ultimately resulted in Dan Mullen's firing. And I don't think anybody can really argue against that at this point. So breaking news, right?
Yeah. I mean, you got to think just going back to when Willie Taggart got fired. I mean, it wasn't really a celebration for you. You're almost like, oh, come on. Let's keep him on for a little bit longer, see how he does. Give the guy a chance.
Oh, yeah. For us? Yeah. We didn't. Yeah. Keep Willie. It was great for us.
And then with Dan Mullen,
that's how y'all are kind of feeling
with his incompetency of recruiting. I mean, that's what we've been kind of talking about.
Yeah. We've talked about that several times.
We're just like, well, I won't mind him one more year. Let's just, maybe he can work it out. Let's,
while you guys continue to, stack up recruiting classes. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too, is that you're not getting it done in recruiting. So you have that bad, you had a good year last year. We, had a couple of bad games, but overall, I think everybody was kind of positive about the program, and then knew that there should be a step back. You lose a great quarterback in Kyle Trask, Emory Jones coming in for his first year. You expected that we'd kind of have a step back, but not like this. If we don't beat, Florida State next week, not to get into to next week just yet, but lose next week and we have a losing season. We don't go to a bowl game. It's unacceptable at Florida. And I think it was the right thing to do. It's just time to part ways. And hopefully we can start working on getting the next guy and get the right guy in here. But yeah, just disappointing game against Missouri. I mean,
dramatic ending.
Not a good team. Yeah. Going for two right there at the
home. End. Usually you go for two away, I think. Like going for two at home,
I don't know. I think it's always risky no matter what. If you're talking about an overtime and you can kick the field goal or the extra point to go, to the next overtime. So to go for 2 there, they went for it. And of course they got it after this year. So
JP, I know you have a lot on your mind about the game, about Dan Mullen. Yeah. What you got, buddy?
I mean, so I will drop a little bit of nugget here. Dan Mullen was actually fired after the South Carolina football game. He was fired after South Carolina, and he was going to be left on for the rest of the year. Just last night, unfortunately, how that finished, it kind of pressed Scott Strickland's hand. I mean, I think it really goes back a lot more than just X's and O's. It's Dan. I think Dan kind of, he just kind of got under the skin of the Florida fan base. And this kind of goes back all the way to last year, really with the LSU loss, just how the loss there, and then the inept preparation. Yeah, we lost some guys for the Oklahoma game, but it's just, and then again, it does go back to the recruiting, but there's other issues. I mean, Florida's got a $110 million football facility that's opening in August of next year. We had COVID. Obviously, Scott Strickland didn't know that was going to happen, but I mean, imagine coming to boosters and saying, "Hey, I need you to give more in this time," and yet that's the performance you're putting on the field. And then a lot of the antics in the media after a loss.
Really weird interviews in my opinion.
So weird. It's very it's very crybaby-ish. Like, I don't know how to handle losing, and so I think that and honestly, that can go all the way back to the Texas A&M loss of last year. Remember when he said, I want to pack the swamp the next week. I promise you there wasn't 20,000 people at Texas A&M, and then he gets COVID. It's just like Dan was just, it was weird. He just needed to, it was, and then, so it was weird watching him coach last night. Some of the play calls he called, it just looked like a guy that was just, his hands were up and it's just like, hey, let's get this over with. I mean, I'm done. This is, type thing. So crazy to think 3 New Year's 6 bowls, you win 2 of the 3 and you're fired, the next year. I mean, it's a crazy industry.
So JP, clarify, because this is the first I'm hearing it. So after the South Carolina game, him and Strickland have a conversation, and Strickland's, I'm assuming, is just like, hey, it ain't working out, and then why does he continue?
So after the South Carolina game, we obviously came off the LSU loss, then the bye, then the Georgia debacle, and then obviously the loss by 27 to South Carolina. Right. And that's where the conversation was. And there were some reports that there was a very heated conversation between, very one-sided, albeit very Scott Strickland side of what is going on here. I'm feeling the pressure, from boosters and other people, and this is what you're putting on the field. And from what I've been told, that he was let go with the continuation of coaching out the year, coaching the last, I guess, 3 games with Stanford, Missouri, and Florida State. And then after last night, his hand was just kind of pushed. It was just, hey, we're going to need to make this public also. Because again, this gets into much bigger. You've got Southern Cal that's been out there for 8 weeks now. You've got LSU that's been out there for 5 or 6 weeks. So you're kind of you want to get your name out in that pecking order. You got TCU, you got Virginia Tech, you might have Miami. So you don't want to wait too long to at least get it out verbally. So at least that gives Scott Strickland and the president and the Athletic Association a few weeks head start to kind of start contacting agents. Hey, here's a little feel we're putting out there. This is what's going on. And I think it's the right move. I think Florida's a tough job, man. I think Florida fans, maybe sometimes have too high expectations, and it can wear on you as a coach. But ultimately what got Dan Mullen fired was his inept ability to recruit. Not to change subjects and all, but if Mike Norvell started 0-4 and would have had the recruiting class that Dan Mullen had, he might be fired now, but he didn't.
Right.
And man, top eight. Imagine if those were reversed. If Dan Mullen had a top 8 recruiting class, there's no way he'd be fired right now. Yeah. But he is, because that doesn't change overnight. So, I can tell you,
people look at you against Georgia and they say that you basically lost because Georgia has all the talent and you don't.
Sure.
And then you look into the recruiting, and then we even, I think after that game, we even lost a recruit. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's hard to make that argument. And it might not even actually be true when you really get down into it, that's why we lost. It was just, I mean, Georgia has a fantastic defense. They're beating everybody. Are you saying that everybody is a lack of recruiting? But well, granted, a lot of teams are. But to me, it's like, you can't be losing, and then also you can't have it all. You can't have it all going downhill. You can't be losing. You look inconsistent. One side of the ball is playing well, and then the other one doesn't, and then you flip, and you just can't get it all together. And then you go and you look at recruiting and say, okay, what kind of talent's coming? And as we go through the year, the team's getting worse, the recruiting's getting worse.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry to hear that he was fired after basically after the South Carolina game, because what I thought was interesting about the South Carolina game, because that's also when he announced, it was after the South Carolina game when he announced that.
The next thing, and that's where the speculation was that the athletic director, because Dan said in the media, no, I made this decision. Well, that might have been figure out that no, hey, we're going to try to save face a little bit here, and we're going to take some pressure off you. But it's just, I mean,
he also looked so relaxed though. Like, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, it's like he made these decisions. He looked so relaxed, even though they just lost bad.
Yeah.
So relaxed in there. And it was like, okay, well, he got this off of his shoulders and now he can move forward. So it's crazy to hear that.
Yeah.
Like, no, he was doing that. He was basically fired or told that he was done.
But here's the thing also, I mean, if you were told that, does some of the stress go off you? So that you also that way, that maybe now it's
because there's the unknown, and then it's like, okay, it's bad news, but now I know my future.
But now I kind of know my future. Yeah. So
makes sense.
Yeah. So JP mentioned like the job openings. I saw this on Twitter. I don't know how true or how probable it is. Lincoln Riley to LSU, maybe.
That the track record of that athletic director is he wants to splash. He brought Jimbo to Texas A&M, and that was splashy. So I think he, the rumor was, I thought I saw something about $12 million a year, trying to make him the highest paid coach in college football.
A lot of money for college.
I mean, you got to think that's $2.75 million more than Saban's making.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're like,
it won't be at the next national championship though.
Right. So, but I mean, for Lincoln there, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's, you're going to be joining the SEC. I mean, I know it's fantastic to recruit the state of Louisiana. But I think he kind of looked more at a name like a Joe Brady, who was the passing game coordinator for LSU. He's now the offensive coordinator at Carolina with Matt Rule.
A lot of people attributed to him being the reason that they were so good.
Sure.
When they had
now that's risky. That's risky because he has no head coaching experience.
Yeah.
And at LSU, he was just the passing coordinator. He wasn't the offensive coordinator. But I think that's a name you could kind of look at. But again, with Florida job opening, the carousel kind of it can start going crazy. I mean, I started hearing stuff today. I didn't realize Dave Aranda from Baylor is actually from Southern Cal. Would he go back home? And then, gosh, if he left Baylor, that means James Franklin's probably staying at at Penn State. I mean, so a lot of stuff could start, So, as far as the Florida job, I think the thing that you've noticed at the past three head coaches, with Will Muschamp, it was a defensive specialist. That's where we're going. We're going defense. Well, that kind of we were great on defense, just didn't really pan out. So then they flipped it. So then they went McElwain and Doug Nussmeier, the offensive coordinator from Alabama, offensive specialist. That didn't work. So then you get Mullen, man, offensive specialist, past national championship. I think this time they go away from an offensive or defensive specialist and they get a true CEO, a true guy that, does anybody know what Urban Meyer coached?
Quarterback.
Special teams.
Girls soccer.
Pretty much a CEO.
Women.
So he's a CEO. He doesn't miss anything like that. So, get somebody. That's where, I mean, you get some names out there like a Billy Napier or I know Florida State fans aren't going to like to hear this, and it's kind of crazy talk.
Willie Taggart.
No, yeah. There's been rumors about Bob Stoops actually reaching out to Florida this time.
Oh my God.
I mean,
enjoy that.
CEO,
enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been the name though for every every single
for like
recruit
20 years.
coaching hire. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get it, but I just, so you look at stuff like that. I mean, me personally, I would like Florida to get a splash. I'm in love with Lane Kiffin. That's the type that if you were sitting at a bar, and you said, "Man, you hear the new Florida coach?" No, who was it? Lane Kiffin. Whoa, that's the reaction.
Yeah.
Because if that's the reaction there, then that's the reaction you get in recruiting, and that's what I want. Did you guys happen to see what he did at College Game Day last week?
Ate popcorn or something?
No, he walked. So tell me this isn't a guy that gets recruiting. The number one quarterback in the 2023 class is Archie Manning, Cooper Manning's son.
Never heard of her.
Yeah, exactly. He did the rebel walk, that every school does, walking into the stadium. He walked into the crowd, grabbed a sign that said, "We want Archie Manning," and he walked the rest of the rebel walk holding the sign over his head. Like that's a coach that gets recruiting. Like that. So you put Lane Kiffin at Florida, you immediately have clout. That edginess. Now,
Bad
I did
boy.
kind of just sure. I definitely did just contradict what I just said though, because I don't know if Lane is necessarily that CEO type.
Yeah, he's the offensive mind.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what happens here the next.
And that was my thing with Lane is that he hasn't been anywhere long enough to see can he develop a program.
Yeah,
like he definitely can come in and bring a great offense and get scoring, but we don't know yet. Can he come in and run a program because he's never stayed anywhere very long.
Yeah, he don't have a good track record, JP. That was my JP and Tyler. I guess like he's a splashy name, but it seems like he goes to a place a year, 2 year, whatever. He either gets fired, leaves.
Well, yeah. What happened with the Alabama? Can y'all refresh my memory? I mean, did him and Saban kind of?
No. So the issue at Alabama was, they were
going to take the job, and
they had that run in the national championship, and then they had that little gap between the SEC championship and the national championship, and he got hired at FAU. And Saban felt like he was kind of getting distracted a little bit recruiting and putting a staff together at FAU, which is understandable.
Yeah.
And Sarkisian was on the staff. So they gave it to Steve Sarkisian to call the game. Now they lost.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what happened there. So.
Yeah.
Right.
So an understandable situation. I mean, it's kind of a tough decision, but.
What is the better
job?
job?
Disagree with
USC or Florida? I mean, nationwide, like.
For me, I think it's
Florida, right?
Honestly,
recruiting wise. I mean, USC
like,
too.
No state,
Florida.
State tax,
I think Florida's a better hotbed.
Yeah,
in my opinion. If you got a good recruiter and you're just like, hey guys, come a few hours up north, rather than go across country. I mean, I just feel like we've got the better hotbed. I think it's better from that perspective. In terms of like just coaching, I think it's what kind of coach are you? Where's really your main region? Because I do feel like certain guys are different. You hear a lot when the California kids try to come over here, or even kids from up north try to come down here. One of the things that they talk about is politics. It's like the culture is just very different. And so I imagine too with coaches, it's kind of similar. Like you kind of understand the culture out west versus culture here. I mean, I would say so.
I remember Florida got a real good cornerback named Chris Steele. Came here. He was actually the one that tried to pull one of his roommates was charged with sexual assault, and that's what allowed him to get out and to get immediate transfer to Oregon. But when he left, they had just said he was super soft, and that California kids, West Coast kids, their mentality is totally different how high school football is done there. So like you said, it's a different type of kid. But USC, I just don't think. I mean, honestly, that whole, what's the whole thing? East Coast bias with ESPN type stuff,
right?
The West Coast. Yeah. When was the last time the Pac-12 was actually? I don't even know. Are there 12 teams in the Pac-12? I don't even know if it is Pac-12 anymore. Like, when was the last time that they were relevant type stuff? So, yeah, I think Florida, and honestly,
was it Oregon, Florida State and Oregon? Is that the game?
Yeah,
Mariota.
They beat Florida State.
Mariota. Yeah. So, and honestly,
14.
This isn't me trying to be biased, but I think the Florida job's better than the LSU job, because I mean, look at who you're going to have to play every year. So, I mean, let's say Lane stays at Ole Miss. Let's just say he stays. If you're the LSU head coach, you got to play Jimbo, you got to play Lane, you got to play what Mike Leach does at Mississippi State, putting up points. You got to play Saban. I mean, so you've got some really good teams you got to play there. If you're at Florida, you got to beat Georgia. You got one game. Now, it's a big game, but it's a neutral site game that's kind of more heavily favored Florida than Georgia. You got
don't be knocking your new head coach, Mark Stoops.
I mean, right. Okay. But
hey, at least we'd have a tough team.
Yeah, but historically, you've got one game. And then here's the other thing. When it comes to recruiting, it's relationships and then facilities. And Florida's opened a $110 million brand new football facility. So that head coach, and here's the thing, in the past, you had to show the kids pictures. Now you can actually walk a recruit in there and be like, oh, wow, this is my locker room. Oh, wow, this is my this is my that. I mean, so get a good CEO that's a recruiter that say, here's your facility. I think it's a better job than even the LSU one. So
and this is a
speaking of facilities, though, we have mentioned LSU. Their facilities are top notch, also.
Yeah.
Sure. It's top notch, but it's not brand new. So I mean, it is still top notch. I get that, but like, I mean, there's something to say about that.
Your slide is longer. You're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one thing I heard about with these other top programs like Georgia, Alabama, that they have these top facilities, is that they're already looking. So they've got these facilities, they're relatively new. Oh, yeah. They're already looking at like, how do we improve them? Yep. So, and that's another thing that Florida has to do, is you're not just, okay, we got this brand new facility. You have to now be thinking about, when are we going to update them? When are we going to improve them? And what are we going to do? Because that's where it's an arms race now with that type of
like a lot of the things the new stadiums are doing, and we've talked about it on the podcast, is like, you know, the LSU like facility has like these like lounges, you plug your phone in, like chart, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's technology
and less seating.
Basically, and anyone that knows technology, like if you buy a computer today, it's obsolete in 6 months. Like, not actually, but basically there's something newer all the time.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's how these facilities are going to have to be going forward. You build a $110 million stadium or a facility, you're going to have to update it or, you know, upgrade it continuously, because there's always going to be something new that the kids like, you know, PS5s, Call of Duty, like whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
And that stuff to like old people like us, I don't care. But these kids, like, kind of like JP saying, like, instead of showing pictures, you can show them and walk them through the facility. That stuff matters to them. Like, they can play, especially the top recruits that can play anywhere.
Sure. To give you an idea of Florida facilities, Danny Warfel and Emory Jones are in the same quarterback's rooms. They haven't. Dan Mullen is in the same office as Steve Spurrier was in.
Wow.
So to show you how the facilities, I mean, they're one of the last schools in the SEC that has an all football facility. Right. So, you know, that's really going to help things. But I mean, again, I think
them in Vanderbilt.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think there's a lot of pressure on the athletic director at Florida to get this one right. But that's why I would kind of look at, I mean, I think the big domino in the next 7 to 10 days across the country is going to be the Billy Napier. I mean, if he goes to, you know, a TCU or a Va Tech or I mean, you know, there's always one domino. Who's going to be the first domino? And then the coaches just kind of start falling into place. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think, you know, Florida's, you know, we obviously got still a huge game this weekend. And it'll be interesting to see if the players rally behind, you know, the Greg Knox, the coach, is going to be the interim head coach. I don't know who's going to call plays, But like Tyler said,
I want to I want to ask you about it. So you're concerned, like that's something I'm really concerned about. Is like Dan Mullen is a good play caller, and that's been a big part of why our offense has been at least as good as it's been this so far this year. Like, how worried are you that like?
So I think Billy Gonzalez will actually be the play caller. So Billy Gonzalez is the wide.
Yeah,
he's been Dan Mullen for 17 years.
Yeah, he was here when Urban Meyer was here.
Right. I think that's why they went with Christian Robinson to call the defense, because he's been with Grantham every year. Mm-hmm. So he was the closest to know Grantham system as far as terminology. So I think Billy Gonzalez, as far as terminology and verbiage, he can call those plays enough there. So yeah, I mean that is a concern. I mean, gosh, that's a definitely, and that's why I kind of thought he would coach through the end of the year, because he is the offensive coordinator type thing.
Yeah.
So last year we had Brian Johnson as the quarterback's coach who called they did about 50-50 plays, but he's in the NFL now. So yeah, it'll be interesting watching the game if you see some different little wrinkles. Heck, you might see a different quarterback for all that matter. Yeah. To be like, that's not something Mullen would have done. So that's the interesting. It'll just be interesting to see if the crowd kind of rallies behind, the team a little bit, and kind of, and I don't know if you remember Ron Zook. Ron Zook got fired about this time, many years ago,
and then beat Florida State.
Who's he? I never heard of the guy.
Exactly.
You should, because Florida fans
he's
named
in
your
the
field
Illini
after him.
Hall of Fame.
He hired someone from Ed White or something. Dan Dish, right?
One other thing I want to get y'all's take on for Florida, because we kind of mentioned it in our group text, JP. What does the firing of Dan Mullen mean for AR-15?
So I don't think it means anything for him. I think it's whoever the next guy is. Totally means everything there. So you got a Gainesville kid. Here's the one thing. If you got a Lane Kiffin, who, look what Matt Brown's doing. I mean, AR would be.
Frank Corral, by the way, the guy that Dan Mullen came in and basically pushed him out to bring in Emory Jones.
Exactly. So, but no, Adam, that's a great point, because I mean, if you bring, it really depends on the style of offense. So now, he is a Gainesville kid. He's always wanted to be a Gator. He wants to be a starter. But one thing you got to keep in mind is the kid's got to get himself healthy. I mean, he's hurt all the time.
Yeah.
That's the one thing you think about Tebow in 4 years. Other than the one concussion against Kentucky, he was never hurt. He was there every game. So,
even then he had the bye week.
He had
so
the bye
Kentucky, got a concussion, bye week, came back and played the next week.
Richardson's had multiple hamstrings. He had the concussion against Georgia. This week, apparently, he had another knee injury. So, I mean, it's, it'll be interesting to see. And here's the hard part. Usually you have a top-notch, not a top-notch, but you have a good recruiting class, and the new coach, you always hear this, hey, he's got to keep this class intact.
Mm-hmm.
Well, honestly, with this class,
you don't have to worry about it.
A brand new board. That new guy comes in. You're all, what I'm hoping is you get a guy coming in.
Would be a splash.
But maybe he's bringing a few guys with him from his school that you're like, he wasn't even interested in Florida, because he was already committed. And then,
well, that's exactly what Dan Mullen did.
Right.
Emory Jones was already, he already had that relationship. I don't know that he was committed to Mississippi State, but he had that relationship and then brought him in.
Emory Jones was at Ohio State committed.
That's right.
We were like, oh my gosh, you got an Ohio State quarterback. It was great, So, Adam, again, that's a great point. That's something to keep an eye on. And obviously with the way the transfer portal works, I mean, Anthony could be, you saw 3 weeks ago. I think it was after the Kentucky. I can't remember. Tyler, you might know this. When they asked Anthony Richardson about leaving, he's like, "Hey, I'm a Gator now."
We talked about it.
It seems more recent, like Georgia. It was like after the Georgia game or South Carolina game.
But right after that, Kiffin tweeted.
Kiffin did he? I didn't know that.
I mean, he could be gone in a heartbeat and start something. So
yeah.
But it's going to be, and obviously the tough thing is, what's the day? The 21st of November. early signing period is December 15th.
15th.
So, I mean, you've got,
We love
you
that.
don't have
We
much,
love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
you don't have much time to put a staff together. So it'll definitely be a difficult class, but I would say thank goodness for the transfer portal, because new
Different day.
coaches they can turn rosters over a lot faster than the old days.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see who the new guy is, and I would hope that maybe Wednesday or Thursday after the Florida State game, you could maybe see some rumblings of an announcement, and that would give the new coach at least 2 weeks to have official visits to kind of meet, hey, this is, but I mean, it's going to be
Most
tough.
everybody's season's over after next week, and then so now you can make real decisions and
other than your
guys can
conference
say yes.
games, I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
it was December 4th, that Saturday, I think. So I think those are the big conference games. So
Yeah, we don't have to worry about those. So we knew we were going to spend a lot of time on Florida, obviously, with the big news with Mullen. I think we've covered about almost everything for Florida. Do you guys got anything else or any other thoughts about Florida, Missouri, or Dan Mullen or future?
Yeah, what was your take on the Missouri game, JP? Just, coaches already out. Like, I mean,
well, I think you saw I think you saw it with the play calling. So their All-American kicker misses the field goal with 1:15 to go. We've got 2 timeouts, and he does 2 straight run plays straight to overtime. I mean, so there was an earlier 4th and 1 early in the game. He punted, so it was just a very I'm cold.
He did something earlier in the season too. I remember it was I think it was Alabama, but we had like 2 minutes or something like that to give a chance to go down. Kentucky. Okay.
Kentucky right before half.
Right. Yeah. So we had like 2 minutes, and he's just like, no, let's just run it out.
He had the clock. 3 timeouts, and then
Kentucky was getting the ball back at the half.
Right. And then what you saw was the LSU game. We had a minute to go with 1 timeout. He did a quick play and threw the Hail Mary and he called it at halftime.
Yeah.
So there's no consistency. I honestly, Ryan, I really felt like he was going through the motions. There was no energy. It was just it's kind of like a guy knowing, man, this is over with. I mean, just let's stop delaying the inevitable. I don't want to be a distraction anymore. And that's why I think the rumor was Strickland said, hey, you can coach the Florida State game. And he just said, hey, I don't want to be a distraction. Yeah. That guy's, he's ready to move on. I mean, I feel.
It's like when you put your 2 weeks notice in at a job.
Yeah.
Exactly. The employer knows for those 2 weeks, you're not doing shit.
Right.
You mailed it in. You're thinking about the next. I mean, it's impossible. It's impossible to just keep putting your heart into it.
And they end up making it 3 or 4 days, and they just say, "Hey, let's just end it for the best of everybody." So that's what I would say.
So looking into Florida State, I want to talk quick about the Florida State game coming up.
Yeah, I mean, just with the Florida State game.
Let's talk about Florida State's W first, Tyler.
We got dubs over here, dog.
Hey, we talked about it. We
not
said
everyone
how we're going to
transition. Not everyone lost.
Yeah, I mean, 17-0. I feel like the Miami game again. It was just this not a safe feeling. You just felt like, at any time it's all can go away, and it did it again. And I think that's what's so I mean, I'll give you some aspect of the game, I guess, because I'm already done with the game. We got the W. That's how our whole season's been. Call it what it is. Winning's contagious, this and that. I mean, we could have won those first 4 games of the season. We could have lost the last 4 games, or won the ones that we lost. I think just like the hype kind of scares me a little bit, just as in, now that Florida's all right, hands up, fire the coach, and now this game is a lot more important, because we weren't talking about a bowl game last week. I mean, Miami game, before the Miami game, we weren't talking about anything about a damn bowl game at all. And then all of a sudden we're sitting there 4-6, and it's like, wait a minute, we got 2 more games. Oh wait, these are winnable games. And it's just like, now you got this excitement, win or lose, we're still good. December 15th looks a lot better than December 15th to Florida Gator. But, I don't know. I'm now nervous about this game just because the whole Dan Mullen firing. Adam, if you want to take, I didn't say anything about the game really.
So Hartle mentioned it in the group. He's like, it was way earlier in the day, and he was like, "Damn, now that he may not have cussed." I'm saying this. He was like, "Damn," he's like, "Now that Mullen's not there, a lot of the times when this happens, teams rally around the interim coach, and then they have a big game." So that was his worry, and I'm also kind of worried as well. But let's talk about the Boston College game, I guess, to start. So they won 26-23. Jordan Travis from I watched the game and then I watched highlights again like this afternoon. It looked like the best game he's had, maybe not stat wise, but like passing, he was scrambling. It looked like he played up to his talent for the first time in a while. He was 20 for 34, 251 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. We did have like not a great rushing day. Jayshon Corbin, who's our best rusher, 13 rushes, 62 yards. But it was a good game. But like Hartle said, I think 12 minutes left in the third. I wrote this down. We were up 26-3.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come back all the way, and it ends up ending 26-23.
Some questionable
so
calls there, where I feel like we could have expanded on that. Just one to mention. I mean, they called illegal formation on our right tackle because his foot was back like a half a yard. So I'm gonna stand up here. So instead of being like this, he was kind of sideways, but he had a really wide stance. And the thing that's funny about it is they called it on the play before, but Boston College had a penalty too. So it replayed down. And if they stopped us on a 4th and whatever it was, 4th and 1, 4th and 5, 6, whatever. And then the next play, we get the conversion, and then they called the same exact thing on the same player, saying that and even the announcers were saying, I've never seen them calling a tackle being part of the backfield. Because I was just like, what wide receiver is not thinking right now? Because, like when they showed it, and it was the damn right tackle. Like, what the hell is that?
Crazy.
But
there's a few more in there that was questionable, but go ahead.
Big win. So it obviously potentially puts us in contention for if we win against Florida for a bowl game. I was texting with a buddy, and I was like, he's a diehard Florida fan, like just like Tyler and JP. I was like, winner of this next game, I think, goes to a bowl. And his response was, I hope y'all win. Y'all can have it. He was just like checked out.
I'm more. Like, I want state champ because we get rings for that. Like we actually make rings for state championship. Since y'all are afraid to play Miami every year.
And and I told him I was like, well, I don't want to go play in the Regency Mall Bowl, but I do want to beat y'all. You know what I mean? Like, God knows who's going to sponsor the bowl that either one of us ends up in. So.
Yeah, I think if you look at the Boston College Florida State game, I think you can honestly look at Florida State and say, ever since the Syracuse game, you've gotten a little better each week. And so that makes me talk about, 2020 was a hard year to coach because you had limited practices. You had a lot of Zoom meetings for install. So I almost wonder if maybe those first 4 games of this year, that was really, Norvell and his staff really getting the install in. And then you start to see it getting a little better every single week. And heck, you look at Clemson now, and that Clemson's getting better. So that looks like a really good, very competitive game you guys had against Clemson.
Yeah.
I just, I look at that, as far as the Florida State game and how that plays out, I think where Florida State's at their best is if they get a lead. because now they can just run the ball, and you got really a kind of three-headed monster with Travis Corbin and who's the other running back?
Trayshawn Ward.
Okay. So, I think the issue would be is if you got down now, if let's say you got down 11 or 12 and now you become a little bit more pass happy, Travis has definitely been better, but can that sustain itself? It'll definitely be, real quickly to talk about Norvell a little bit. If I said Kirby Smart, what's the first thing you think when I say Kirby Smart?
Young.
Can't win the game.
Recruiter.
Okay. I would say recruiter. When I think Kirby Smart, I think recruiter. I think with Norvell starting 0-4, the fact that he was able to put that recruiting class together, you can start saying, man, he's a good recruiter. Well, now since Syracuse, you start to say, and you know what? Maybe he's a pretty good X's and O's coach. Because I still think it's out for debate whether Kirby's a good football X's and O's coach. He's just a great recruiter.
To this point this year, I would say, and until this year, I would say most people thought that Kirby Smart was underperforming.
Sure. But when you have that many 5 stars and 4 stars just rolling in, again, what's the comment he made after the Florida Georgia game? Like, you can't out coach recruiting, you can't out coach players. So where Norvell is kind of doing this with, I would say, not great players. Now he's got a couple in the portal and everything. So, that's the scary thing.
Jermaine Johnson.
I hate to bring, but I hate to bring Florida back up in this, but sometimes that's the pressure of Scott Strickland sitting there saying, like, man, if Mike gets this thing going, we fall too far behind. Georgia might win the national championship, and then our 2 biggest arch rivals are moving in the right direction, and we're going backwards. Yeah. So sometimes it forces the hand of maybe he didn't want to fire Mullen, but he's like, man, I almost have to, because look what's happening over there. So,
well, how bad of a recruiter is Dan Mullen if after last year and the way that our program was looking up and the offense and the way that his quarterbacks are developing, he still can't get guys to want to come play with him?
Sure. Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah. Orange and blue Jordans, like, hey, look at these guys. Like, I don't know. It's just weird looking.
Recruiting is about relationships. When you walk into a living room, do you connect? And I just don't think Dan did that. And Mike Norvell and his staff has proven that they can. Yeah. So, that's a scary thing that, Willie Taggart looked like he can recruit. He just couldn't coach. Well, Norvell might be able to.
He brought like all recruiters.
Right.
Like, he didn't really bring coaches along with him.
So there's the issue. But as far as the actual game this week, I saw the line is I think Florida favored by 2. That's just home field advantage. That's all that is. That's not, so it's really a pick 'em game type thing. But I think the first 10 minutes are going to be very important in that game of who gets a lead. Does Florida want to be there? Do they come out flat? It's a 12:00 game. So it's, as far as the crowd getting involved, it's almost better for Florida if it would have been like a 6:00 game, really get the crowd involved there. Yeah. But a 12:00 game, and really can Florida State, establish the run? And if Florida State gets a lead, Florida's not a team that can, kind of catch up. And then now Florida State can just kind of milk the clock a little bit and do that stuff. Now I say this, Adam, you made a great point, up 26-3.
Yeah.
You can't just run the ball the whole time.
Right.
Because, you can't get too conservative, because eventually they're going to be like, well, hey guys, they're just going to run. So we'll just sell out for the run and stop that. And that's what happened. And then Boston College made a few plays. So, but again, this is Mike Norvell. He didn't get to play Florida last year because it was only the conference schedule. So, this is the real big. I think it means a little bit more for Florida State than Florida because
just the momentum.
Would like to go to a bowl game. Well, in the bowl game, Florida doesn't care because there's a new head coach.
Yeah, we need another month of coaching these damn assholes, because we're in the same position next year. We talked about that when we were 0-4. Like, it's just not like we automatically now we're going to be a 10-2 team. Like, we might go through struggle again. Offensive line, defensive line, everybody's gone. It's going to be. We don't have Jermaine Johnson to save our butts.
We're not looking ahead. Dude, that guy's a freaking beast.
Yeah.
And Jermaine Johnson.
And he couldn't want to transfer from Georgia.
Yeah,
and he couldn't even get on the field for Georgia.
Yeah.
Right.
So just to show you, and again, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I don't know if you noticed, Florida opens against Utah next year, and Florida State opens against LSU. So there's some pretty big games
already?
to start
Wow.
the season.
I knew we had them on the schedule, but it's always been like,
Yeah.
they announced that 4 years ago, or I think Jimbo
Sure.
was still the
Yeah.
damn head coach when they announced it, and it was like, oh yeah, that's
Florida actually,
He might be the head coach of LSU.
right.
I saw a stat. I saw a funny comment today because Kiffin's name was linked to the Miami job a little bit also, and I guess Texas A&M plays Miami, Florida, and Ole Miss all at home next year.
Wow.
So somebody says, I can guarantee you, Lane Kiffin will be coaching a team in Kyle Field. One of the three teams. He'll be the head coach of one of those three. But I mean, like I said, I think it means more for Florida State because Florida, I don't know the rules. Let's say Florida hires their new coach Thursday after the Florida. I don't know if he can actually coach bowl games. Can he? Does anybody know that question?
I don't think so. Otherwise, Urban Meyer would have coached Ohio State.
Yeah,
against
he might
Florida.
be coaching because I think
in
Norvell
that bowl game.
coached their bowl game with Memphis, right or no?
Well, I know you can stay and coach, but I mean, like I remember, you guys remember Josh Heupel watching UCF. I remember
Yes.
watching that bowl game when they were playing, but he wasn't coaching it, so you
Right,
might not
right.
be. So it doesn't really
Yeah.
benefit Florida at all, where it would benefit Florida State a lot. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. Just so it's a weird.
I don't know. I don't think the players though, because you're really thinking about the players or the players motivated for it, and I don't think the players are thinking like, well, it doesn't matter because we're not going to have our coach coaching us. I think for them, it's like, how badly do they just want to get to a bowl game? And
Respect,
but I still
yeah,
think,
I mean-
though, that it's. I still think
hold
though
on.
that for them, it's like they probably are at a point where they just
Y'all
want
talk.
they want this season to be over.
They just, I mean, well, a lot of guys, I mean, if you're Florida State, they're looking at their next schools. Where am I going to transfer to? I'm leaving early, stuff like that. So,
Right.
I mean, those are, and I had spoken to Ryan earlier this week, and I thought, man, I was very intrigued to watch how Florida State came out against Boston College because you had such an emotional win against Miami. It's hard to stay up 2 weeks in a row. But so that was interesting to see how. So
Last bowl ring from Shreveport. They say Hardaw played quarterback for Florida State, but kids want this. I mean, it don't mean a lot to them.
Did you get that for winning a championship on NCAA?
That's my wife.
PlayStation 4.
It's my wife. She's with the at the time Seminole Productions. But kids, I mean, they still get like a $600 shopping spree at Best Buy, or they get to do all these things that are fun. So I mean, I think out of respect, it's going to be a rivalry game. I mean,
Yeah.
there might be somebody getting their freaking ass on the ground. You know what I mean? It's hard to hit. This miracle play, this awesome thing. It's Florida State. You gotta respect that.
Well, they know these guys. A lot of them played.
Yeah.
They played them in high school and they know them. So it's a big rivalry to them too. A natural desire to want to beat them.
but I think when you have stuff like this, so when you have major changes, I think it really goes to, does Florida have the leadership or some of the seniors that flat out say, I'm not going out. I'm not going out.
It's a wild card.
Yeah.
You put it on anybody.
Yeah, you have no idea because I mean, Florida could come out.
That makes it tough.
Showing up. It's a weird. It's going to be a weird game. I mean, you could throw out 5 different options. Florida State could blow Florida out. Florida could blow Florida State out. It could be a last-second win for either. It could be an ugly. So it just you really don't know.
I think the best case for Florida State is just what it's been all season. Keep it close. If we were down, we got it in within a touchdown. We had the last drive and we fumbled it or interception, whatever. We're okay with that. I think in a big, huge lopsided win for UF would not tend well, but we're still okay. I mean, I think you can still look at it. We were 0-4, we came out 5-7, but you can go and say we started 0-4, we went 6-6. Like I feel you can kind of,
Trust
so
me, an
weird.
0-4 start. If 0-4 can't destroy that recruiting class, a blowout loss to Florida ain't gonna destroy that recruiting class. So I mean,
I'll say too. I feel like I see more likely the Florida team giving up than the Florida State team giving up.
100%.
So
100%.
if one team gets down, then to me it's most likely it's Florida's in the team that ends up giving up. Whereas Florida State gets down, I still feel like they would fight.
100%. Yep.
So it sounds like we're going to flip a Georgia recruit. I think I might have talked about it last week.
Well, goody for you. Enjoy the recruiting.
Well, it's funny because I feel like from the backstory I've read, it's Jermaine Johnson who went to Florida. And plus, they have already got all these defensive tackles, defensive ends, and everything. But anyways, this guy's a 5-star in Rivals. He's the 89th ranked player in 247. I mean, it's a crapshoot, but he's top 100. But I think he really related to Jermaine Johnson. Jermaine Johnson basically probably told him how it is as it is in Georgia. And he's like, hey, if I would have stayed there, I'm not getting drafted. I came to Florida State. I'm going to be a top 10 pick. I mean, that's pretty powerful, I think you could say.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think if you start getting guys like that to flip over, you beat a Florida, we can say that ridiculous comment, oh, we're state champions, this make-believe stuff, but recruits like it. The kids like it. Come to Florida State, we're building something. This could be a very huge momentum swing to where we lose to Florida, in my opinion. I agree with JP. We're not going to destroy the class, but you might miss out on that 1 or 2 extra players that could be a real difference maker going forward.
Right.
Elite
that
forward,
Jermaine Johnson type.
Yeah.
You guys think you think Manny Diaz survives?
No. I think he was gone before the Florida State game.
Even with them firing the athletic director and not having an AD?
So whoever comes
the
in,
new AD comes in
guy.
and he's like,
yeah,
get this
Are
guy
you
out
going
of
to be
here.
able to?
Let's get her.
Are you going to hire a new athletic director in 10 days?
I mean, if there's no athletic director, they might not fire him, but I don't know. Maybe that's the reason he survives, but
yeah,
Miami's a dumpster fire.
I mean, I agree with you, and the reason I bring that up is recruiting, because last year you weren't allowed to take official visits recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
So Miami put a pretty good recruiting class together because kids were like, you know what, I'll just stay in South Florida because
stay home.
Do you bet?
It is what I know. I know this. I know. So I would still look for some Florida State guys for some players that stayed at home at Miami to go to Florida State. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be it's. I love chaos. I usually don't like chaos when my team's involved in it.
Yeah.
But we got some chaos here the next couple weeks of where these coaches are going to be going. So it'll be a fun little ride to think about. And I guess is every conference championship set now? I think everyone is set. You got Alabama, since they won Arkansas, they've got Georgia. You've got Oklahoma's playing Baylor in the Big 12.
What's up with ACC?
It's Pittsburgh and
Wait.
It's Pittsburgh and Wake, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah.
And then I think I know Ohio State plays Michigan this week, but I think it's Ohio State and God, I don't know who the other one is there.
Michigan.
No, but they don't play.
They play 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
Well,
Florida State, Florida.
So JP, speaking of the SEC championship, Alabama, Georgia, look what Georgia did to Arkansas, and look how Alabama barely won. I mean, I'm not a big person that says, "Oh, well, we beat them and then they beat you, so we're better." But I mean, if that's any indication, how do y'all think that SEC championship game is going to go?
Georgia would lose and then win the national championship.
I've watched.
If Georgia loses, both go. I mean, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I've watched a lot of Alabama this year, and it's funny this year their defense is just, the secondary is just inconsistent. It's like, I don't know if you saw any of that Arkansas game, but a couple of those touchdown passes were just like what was going on there. So I mean,
Well,
I think their offense.
That
can
guy's
score.
6'3", 230 pounds, and he runs as fast as DK Metcalf.
Okay, well, so but I mean, so you had.
So he's
I mean,
basically a Kelvin Benjamin without the speed.
Sure.
He's more
Or,
like a
no.
Metcalf / AJ Brown.
But I think, I mean, again, I think it's, when you get a game like that, I mean, who's going to know Kirby Smart's tendencies more than Nick Saban is? I mean, so, it's hard to beat somebody you coached along with for so many years. And then in that game, I mean, look what Alabama's quarterback, he threw for what, 596 on Saturday. I mean, they can still score points. So
yeah, that's nuts.
And so what happens? Okay, so here's the thing. We talked about the Florida State game about what if Florida State gets a lead? What if Alabama all of a sudden shocks them and it's 14-0?
Well, let's just say so Alabama lose a close one. Are they still getting in to the playoffs? Because who's going to really take Alabama? They lose, this is say 17-16, last second field goal.
They should not get in.
But
here's the thing.
Cincinnati?
Yeah. No, well, here's the thing. If that was to happen, so listen, if that was to happen, you'd have an undefeated Georgia. You'd have, let's just say Ohio State wins out. Ohio State would be 2. Oregon's lost; they're out of it.
Yep.
So you might slide Cincinnati into 3, and then are you going to pick an Alabama? I think I'm still taking an Alabama over
Notre Dame.
I mean, well, who would be 6 and? I mean.
Michigan.
Gosh, I don't even know. Well, Michigan would have lost to Ohio State, so they would have dropped out.
Oh yeah.
Michigan State lost versus another 2 loss. I mean, Oregon Alabama definitely wins against any 2 loss.
Yeah,
probably. And here's the thing.
Guys are right.
Here's the kicker. Now, here's the thing. You made a good point a second ago, Adam. If it's 28-10, Georgia over Alabama,
they don't get in.
Is a different story than a 21-17.
Right.
If it's 21-17 and it's a close game, I think Alabama drops to 4, or heck, they might. Here's where politics would get involved. They might drop to 3 because you don't want to see Georgia Alabama play each other again.
I was going to say,
7 days later.
Because a Saban playing the guy that he knows his tendencies in a close match where he lost, I might be taking my life savings and putting on Bama.
I'll tell you what, nobody wants to play Ohio State right now.
Yeah, they're good.
56 to, what was it, 56-10? I mean, and then they dominated Purdue the last week. If they go out and dominate Michigan this week, nobody wants to jockey for position to play them in the semifinals.
I just always have a jaded memory from Ohio State. You guys remember that Ohio State-Florida game?
Yeah.
The very first play,
kickoff.
Ohio State runs it back on the kickoff, and then they get demolished. It's like, bro, you don't want any part with the SEC. I promise you, bro.
Well, the guy that ran it back, hurt his hamstring after he celebrated. Hagan Jr. celebrating and never got back in.
Yeah,
that's why they lost.
Because
he would have returned it every time.
That was it. It wasn't the fact that
Troy
Smith was running for his life the entire game.
Yeah, he played.
It was that Ted Ginn Jr. was out after the first play. Which, by the way, Reggie Nelson got blocked in the back or something like that on that kickoff return. He was in position to make that tackle, but
there you go.
Maybe he wasn't, but it didn't matter. It should have been a penalty.
But what a stat line for Ted Ginn Jr. One play, 95 yards.
Hey, give me another play. Give me one more play. It would have been a whole different ball game.
And then he played in the NFL for Miami for 10 years.
I feel like he's still flirting with it, maybe.
So who do y'all take? You take Georgia or Alabama?
Georgia.
I gotta say Georgia. Plus, I hate Alabama. I don't hate Georgia.
Okay.
It's different.
It's a tough one. I don't know, because you're talking about strength versus strength. Georgia's not got the greatest offense. I think it's their defense is the reason that their offense they just had so many opportunities because their defense puts them in the position and just doesn't let anybody move the ball on them. But then you've got Alabama that, so they are suspect on defense, but then they got that good offense. I don't think Alabama makes a lot of mistakes on offense. And so, but I don't think Georgia needs it. So I don't know. For me, it's a really tough one. I'm kind of leaning to say that Georgia is just such a stout defense that that's going to be the difference, and they're going to hold them to what they need, and Georgia's going to come away. I want Alabama to win. I'll be rooting for Alabama, but
sure,
I think it's
the
Georgia.
tough part about that game, I think, is the storylines would be what happens if Georgia has a little bit of adversity, and there's more pressure on Georgia in that game than there is Alabama.
Right. If Georgia can't just lean on the run game and their big guys up front, leaning on the defense, and then just kind of wearing down that offense, and they have to step back and they have to throw, then I think that definitely changes things. But
then they go and win a national championship.
That defense is incredible.
Yeah, they lose and they go win a national championship.
When you have such a talented defense like Georgia does, and this Georgia defense is how Alabama's defense has been the past 8 years, maybe a little better. It's less game planning, and you're relying more on athleticism, size, and speed. So the size and the speed and the athleticism is going to show up every game, right?
Yeah.
It's the offense that you have to game plan for, and those plays, and like JP mentioned, X's and O's and stuff like that. But Saban's had Kirby Smart's number, like JP said. So, and
Georgia
Smart's
ain't losing
never
twice.
been able to get it done
because they get a bye this week. I mean, SEC championship is their bye week. I mean, win or lose, they're going.
Right, but this will be the first game all year that Georgia will be the athletes will match up. They'll be all on par. So, Georgia has the 47th ranked strength of schedule this year. 47th. So this will be the first true game that it's going to be, when that defensive line hits the offensive line of Alabama, whoa, we're not actually pushing these guys around as much as I thought. So that'll just be an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. Number 99.
The 600-pound guy, or however big he is.
Monster.
They put him at fullback on Saturday for a few plays.
Did they?
Yeah, he got one touchdown like the old Bears, the fridge running back.
Yeah.
But he's 6'6", 340. I mean, that's an interesting. That's just But again, it goes back to pressure. It goes back to Kirby. Can he beat your old boss? Everyone, you're number one team in the country. You should win. And I'd never count out Nick Saban in a game like that.
There's something about Alabama for the SEC teams, especially the SEC teams in the East. There's something about Alabama that it's like it's that hump you can't get over.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so Georgia's had the best chance, obviously, of anybody else in the East. And so maybe they're, it makes sense if Georgia's the first one to really do it.
But it's a good point too. You're just like they lose, you're like, yeah, well, it's the SEC East. They all suck.
Has anyone seen a line on that game? I know it's early. Has anyone seen a line on the Georgia Alabama game?
No, I don't.
Oh yeah. Okay, so there's no line yet. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's no line. Do we want to talk about Jaguars?
They're
another
awful.
Loss.
They're pretty bad.
Trevor Lawrence sucks. Yeah.
Hey, is Dan Mullen the offensive coordinator for the Jaguars next year?
So I see. The pregame, I text y'all. It was just like, oh, they're showing Trevor warming up, and it was just whatever his statistics are. So many touchdowns, so many interceptions. And it was like, but he also plays for a very bad team. And it's just like I think we forget that, you know what I mean? Like, and I think I also text. I was like, why don't we just use every single pick on an offensive lineman? Just screw it. Just pick all offensive linemen and have this crazy competition, because that's the only thing.
Where are we at right
now? I'm done with Jacksonville.
Should we let Adam? So we just like Adam go ahead and start the whole Jags.
Yeah. Read your stats. Does James Robinson scored a touchdown? We kicked a field goal. That's Jaguars, good. Usually miss about 2 or 3 of those.
Here's the stats. The Jaguars played a team. Who cares who it was? They lost. They're going to lose next week. They lost all these games. Trevor Lawrence looked subpar. He did look pretty mobile and good moving around. He had like one big run. James Robinson can't run because our line sucks. And Urban Meyer is probably at the Ritz right now, rubbing up on some girl.
Some blonde.
Urban, we know you tune in and watch. That was a joke. Don't take it personal.
Yeah, we
no,
just
just kidding.
love
So,
to have you on the show.
yeah, San Fran at Jags,
That'd be a
30-10. They were favored by 6.5. T-Law, 16 for 25, 158 yards, no touchdowns, but no interceptions. James Robinson, 12 rushes, 29 yards. Did I write that down right? So, yeah, we suck.
Jeez.
I didn't go to the game. Obviously, I did see on TV, and I saw a lot of people that went to the game. They said there were more 49ers fans than there were Bills fans at that game. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, you got to think of the
Wow, that's-
Fortune 500 companies that people still have jobs in California. You're probably talking about, the top 1%, like JP, and then they can go to do these things, and then compared to Jacksonville or Tampa, or I mean, it's just, which I think is going to change with I don't want to get into politics, but Florida's up on the rise, and I'm not talking about the Gators. I was trying to look at the rest of our schedule. Like, I'm seeing all L's, but I'm thinking we'll beat the best one out of them.
We have Atlanta and Jaguars next week.
Wow, that's a losable game.
Right, but Atlanta also sucks this year.
So Rams, Tennessee, Houston, Jets. We'll beat New England at New England. We'll win that game.
Mac Jones. Yeah, Mac Jones will throw for like 500 yards and 4 touchdowns.
But I think the way it is right now, if the season ended today, I think we have the 4th pick in the draft. So I mean,
let's not ruin that. I love that safety from Notre Dame. Holy cow,
dude! You were just saying offensive lineman, Hartle.
I think you got to take. I think you try to get the kid from Alabama.
O'Neal.
The left tackle from Alabama. But I mean,
O'Neal.
I don't know if you guys remember earlier in the year.
We'll have 2.
Urban was very, Jackson's got tons of money for free agency.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess with the COVID rules, you weren't able to actually take visits for free agency. So you pretty much are doing it over the phone. So I wonder this offseason, with the draft, if they don't try to, kind of overspend a little bit to kind of get some guys to help, up front to protect Trevor. And we also got to get some guys that he can throw to. I mean, I guess DJ Chark, I mean, do you call him a bust or you just call him injury prone? Or I don't know what you really call him now, but Chenault is kind of
Chenault sucks.
Yeah, Chenault's just not. So
Hartle hates Chenault.
Chenault probably ain't coming back for a little while after that today, right?
I don't know.
That was nasty.
It looked like that. That was weird because that tackle, it looked like his knee twisted, and then on the injury report it said hip. I'm like, what? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they hand him the ball off. He might get 2-3 yards. You hand it off to Deebo Samuels, he takes it to the house every damn game. Chenault's not that guy. I'm sorry. We love him. He probably looks really good without his shirt on, but I mean, he's just not that guy. I'm sorry.
For the record, for our listeners, I've never Googled or seen Chenault with his shirt off. I don't know what our friend Hartle's doing with his Google searches.
He's thick. He like 230.
Okay.
I'd love to know, honestly, the expectations of what we actually thought.
Yes.
I mean, I know Urban and Trevor were big names, but this was a really bad roster. This was a bad 53-man roster that they were going to. Yeah. So, I mean, 2 wins, maybe 3 is kind of what you maybe expected to be. So
as Ryan said, we double our win total from last year. So
what's
and we're winning all over the world. We won in London and we won in America. So
who's the Diggs, the Alabama Diggs that plays for Dallas right now? That's killing it. Trayvon
Diggs.
We could have got him over Chenault. We could have got JJ Watt. We could have got Aaron Donald. We could have. Oh yeah, I'll stop. But
Monday morning quarterback. Tyler, by the way, you're an accountant. You should know 2 times 0 is 0.
yeah. Ofer.
Winless last year.
We won the
Anyhow,
first
yeah.
game. We won the first game of the year last year.
Colts, was it?
Yeah, the first
Yeah, I
game,
thought
and then we
had
lost
one-
16
Yeah,
straight.
we had one loss.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
one
thought
win.
we had 0.
No,
No, we won the first
one.
game.
Oh,
Kind of like
Only
when Chris
Miami's done
Winky
that.
got drafted, he won his first game and then lost the next 15 and retired because he was like
Started off
35. Minshew was cool at the time. You
My
know?
accounting prowess stands.
But-
so Hardle jokes about this in the group, about how he likes CJ Beathard more, and
Yeah.
see that
Dude, he's a
one
baller.
game when, yeah, so he did have like a
What?
good series, but dude, Minshew balled out too. Like I don't think Minshew was a long-term like solution, but
So I think
Minshew was a gamer.
I think with Trevor, Minshew, CJ Beathard, all these quarterbacks that can come in, they're not the number 1 pick overall, saying he's the best thing since Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. You know, I think there is some pressure. You know, and then rookie head coach. We got a whole new staff. We got the youngest team in the NFL. We got a horrible ass roster. I think that all contributes, but when you put in a Minshew who don't give up, and you put in a CJ Beathard, they're just like, give me a play. I'm gonna take full advantage of it. It's a little bit different. I mean,
I think you got to be very careful because you don't really have anybody for Trevor to lean on and to learn from, and that's a luxury to have.
Urban, he's a good role model.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's just like you look at guys that, because what would happen mentally? Okay, what would happen if you benched him? What if you just said, "Hey,
Next
you
to
know,
you
Marcus
can't do that.
Russell."
right"? So, but again, you got to just. I mean, you're in the fire, buddy. You just, hey, we're gonna fight out of this. We're gonna get out of this. And but I mean, those are hard to. When he goes to the sidelines, I mean, what's the guy's name? Bethard.
CJ Beathard.
Hey,
Beathard,
first
okay.
of all,
So,
put some respect on his name.
okay, so but I mean, that's not a guy that you're like, hey, what did you see here? It's like, as far as
Sorry, I was just thinking about it.
That's why we should have kept Tebow.
Right, yeah. So you can find out, like, all right, what would you do here? So I could just not do that.
He would
Tebow's like,
give
well,
him
I'm the
parables like from the Bible and stuff.
Tebow's like, I'm the biggest fucker on the field. I would have
That's
just
how I
ran
had to
through
read my
everyone.
Bible.
Well, try next time you throw it, just close your eyes.
Because the word of God.
Envision where it's going to go, and it'll be there. Sorry, off topic.
Go ahead, Adam.
No. So here's what's gonna happen. I see this in 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we sucked this year, like JP and Hardle said. Awful roster, young team, but we have a lot to spend. Here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna have a few good drafts. Sunshine is gonna cut his hair. And when he cuts his hair, unlike the biblical story, he's going to gain strength.
Oh, you can't gain
And
strength.
he's going to be a boss. He's going to become a man. He's going to come into his own.
Yeah,
that's when it's going to happen.
I like it.
It's all about the hair.
I like it. Tyler, wake up, buddy.
I'm sorry, man. I was
Sorry, we're
trying really
inconvenient,
hard not
dude.
to
Do
have
we
that.
need to?
Can I go to mute and take me off camera?
Do we need to wrap it up? I mean, gee, come on.
Yeah.
It's been a long weekend.
Oh yeah. Sorry about your white buddy.
Yeah, I was looking at a couple of our players. It was the Georgia Tech wide receiver. I didn't even know we released him. He's already, I think he was like the 6th round pick or something, but he was like a solid guy. For some reason I thought about him, and then I was like, oh yeah, that Cisco guy. Like that's our 3rd round pick. and
Like
they
the
drafted him.
singer, thong, 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 thong.
Well, he like has tore his
Taking it
ACL
back.
in warm-ups. Oh, he's gonna be back. He's gonna be back. I mean, he's got in like I think he's got one tackle this year. Like he just got I don't know. It was just like it's a head scratcher. And this Walker little guy or little Walker or the Stanford, not Samford.
Yeah, the
Offensive
lineman.
talented, yeah, lineman. It's
Yeah.
just like he got in because somebody got hurt or something. It's just like
Well, remember Travis Etienne, DJ Chark. They've had some injuries to
Yeah.
really not been able to, see offensively what. I mean, again, he's running for his life. So I mean, that's running for your life. Rookie quarterback doesn't have a little stopgap safety net that he can always count on. I really that tight end has kind of helped him out a little bit, kind of being so. Yeah, so I mean, it's he's been a guy a possession receiver that he can kind of look to, but I mean, again, you kind of had to expect this. They've got a long way to go, and that's that's understandable.
Yeah.
Yep. Any idea on how long we're
in
running
short
right now?
Let's summarize. We are terrible. We have terrible talent.
Football
We have
season's
a
been
great
rough for
quarterback,
us, huh?
We have a great quarterback though.
We do. I know Ryan wants to move on, but I'm like, no.
Oh yeah,
let's keep
you're
it
right.
going.
I mean, y'all mess around and let Jordan Travis become a quarterback. Y'all gonna see Heisman. Oh wait, I thought sorry. It was funny because I was the Boston College and Florida State game. The announcer was like, "Man, I was just very impressed. I ran into Jordan Travis and he's a lot bigger than I thought he would be. I mean, still, I don't know. He might have been. What is he? 200 pounds? 195? I don't know how much Jordan Travis weighs, but
he doesn't look huge.
But I mean, there's no running. Like when he first came in, it was actually Boston College a couple of years ago. Odell Haggins came in and they put him in a couple of plays and he had like
Another
3
interim.
carries for 150 something yards and 2 touchdowns. Like he was bolting down the sideline. I mean, right up the middle, everything. But they're really trying to make him like more of a passer. So it hopefully he can do good.
So Florida State, LSU next year. Jordan Travis, your quarterback?
It has to be unless we get some kind of transfer.
Yeah. I think it does.
It's
But
him or
also
Anthony
think
Richardson.
I also think, but
You're gonna keep pushing that, man.
To Travis's credit, I think he's earned that also.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He's not.
I think he has.
He's not a liability at quarterback anymore for y'all.
You have to. Anybody else? Chuba Purdy, Milton. I mean,
transfer. They're gonna be gone.
Any person that can't run ain't gonna be able to run this offense because you might have where our offensive line will hold them every now and then, but you need someone that actually can use their feet. I mean, and he's the only one.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's why he's quarterback.
Where, Florida's had a lot of trouble against the runner quarterback. So.
It's gonna be interesting, fellas. I know may full circle back to the Florida State, Florida, but it's going to be very interesting. This whole week, we might have to do another podcast before the game.
We might have to do a live. We might have to do a live stream for the game
at the 50-yard line. Yeah. Who got the tickets?
Yeah.
JP, what's up? What's your connects at? You got some bull gators. What do they call them?
Bull gators.
Yeah.
All right. I think we probably ran long enough. Horrible.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Tyler, anyone have anything else?
No, I think we covered it pretty good.
Yeah. Fellas, it's been good. JP, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Giving that insight. I feel like you brought some Gator insight into us that Tyler just lacks, that I'm just playing. But we appreciate you coming on. We actually tried to have JP on a couple weeks ago, which would have been a completely different episode because we would have had no idea that Dan Mullen was going to get fired at this time. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's nuts how things work, how this football season has gone. But hey, guess what? It's not over yet. So we'll continue out, and we'll go to basketball too. We're gonna wait till Florida State gets their lineup correctly and start playing better, and then we'll jump into college basketball.
We can always just continue to talk about the Florida State basketball game.
I agree.
Yeah, and then we got recruiting. We got the first recruiting December 15th, bowl games, recruiting again. So we got a lot to talk about. So JP, hope we can have you again. Thanks for coming on. And then
thanks, JP.
Hey, like, subscribe,
comment,
.com, whatever all the cool sayings are.
We don't have a .com, but
donate to our GoFundMe.
Sponsor us, Venmo. All right, fellas, y'all have a good one.
All right.
Love you guys.
love you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.